They want to be elected, but they have no interest in what the voter wants to be represented with.
We've actually had representatives tell us in private that once you vote for them and you get them in, they're not really looking back. They're not reaching out to the people that they're supposed to represent and get their feedback on how they want a vote taken. It's their vote now. They don't consider it the people's vote.
Hi everyone, Rebecca Terrell with the New American Magazine. My guests today have an incredible story to tell, so get ready to be entertained, enlightened, and maybe a little bit enraged too. Mark Forton is chairman of the Macomb County Republican Party, and his vice chair is Lisa Mankiewicz. But there are a few people in Macomb County who say they are not the true GOP leaders there, that they were ousted last April. Mark and Lisa are here to set the record straight. Thank you so much, both of you, for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. Well, let's start back in the aftermath of the 2020 election, because you really need to understand that background to understand this incredible drama that's been unfolding over the course of this past year. Mark, you've been involved with the Republican Party for years and always greatly respected by your peers, but your troubles seem to start when you exercised your First Amendment rights and began questioning the 2020 election results, correct?
That's true. That's very true. It's interesting how Michigan, there's been very little effort, I should say, in looking into the election whatsoever. It's like a solid wall of restriction. The Republican Party has no intention of looking into anything. We have been pushing and pushing. Other states have had a certain amount of activity, Arizona, Pennsylvania, so on. But Michigan, absolutely nothing. We can't get them to do a thing. And it got to the point where they decided that we got to be silenced, and they attempted to take over the county party in order to silence us. In order to do that, they had to remove the entire board. Because if they just removed Lisa and I the next time the board met, they would have elected us back in. So they decided to make an attempt to remove the entire board, and they did it all illegally at a convention. And we refused to accept it. Then they took us to court, and the 16th Circuit Court in Macomb County shot down everything they did according to every rule there is, whether it's Robert's rules, state party bylaws, our bylaws, or Michigan election law. They violated all of those things, and the judge ruled on our behalf and reinstated the entire board.
So now the person who was spearheading this in the county was Eric Castiglia.
Yeah, that's the person that he was one of the people really making an effort. They elected him as the permanent chair of the convention. The permanent chair of a convention, their chairmanship ends at adjournment, but they created new rules that they passed, which was against all the rules. They created rules to eliminate the entire party at that convention. And
it was a communist takeover.
Yeah, what it really was.
They basically stormed. They stormed our seats and took it over before we even knew what was happening.
Yeah.
It was communism is what we saw that day.
And it was orchestrated by Michonne Maddock, co-chair of the state party, and our local representative, Lisa McLean, and a couple others. And Eric Castiglia and a local politician named Stanley Grott, who is a clerk in Shelby Township, but very influential in Macomb County. And it was almost all the elected officials sided with them except two. They just don't like having meetings where they're questioned. They don't show up. It's interesting how it works. They want to be elected, but they have no interest in what the voter wants to be represented with.
We've actually had representatives tell us in private that once you vote for them and you get them in, they're not really looking back. They're not reaching out to the people that they're supposed to represent and get their feedback on how they want a vote taken. It's their vote now. They don't consider it the people's vote. We've had multiple tell us that. We were shocked.
So after the judge ruled that you two are the leaders of the true executive committee in Macomb County, Eric Castiglia and his group still didn't take no for an answer, and the state Party recognized Eric's group at the state convention, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that, because that's what I see as the real victory.
Well,
That was the popular
on
victory.
August 5th, when the judge ruled in our favor, they filed FARA papers and started another organization. The judge clearly said that there can only be one Republican Party. Now you can have groups, other groups, they have the right to do that, but only one group that represents the county, which is us.
Mhm. The reason that is because delegates are elected by the Republican voters in their precincts to represent them at the county convention. Therefore, there can only be one legitimate county convention. So the very day the judge ruled, as Lisa said, they started a brand new organization. I think it's called the Republicans of Macomb County. And the state party immediately recognized it and sent letters to all the delegates that if they wanted to go to state convention, they had to go to Mr. Castiglia's convention. So on the same day, at the same time, there were two conventions in Macomb County. But their group, which is a mixture of, it's the Macomb County delegates, they're the victims in this thing, okay? It's not a war between delegates. It's a war between the establishment and this globalist Castiglia, and Weiser's a globalist, and that's what it's all about.
All right, so we have the situation where a judge told this opposing group, Eric Castiglia's group, that he was not the real GOP group in Macomb County,
Right.
that you are. But the state chairman, Ron Weiser, the state GOP chairman, acknowledged Eric Castiglia's group and told him he would be acknowledged at the state convention. So you have two GOP groups from Macomb County arriving at the state convention. And take us from that point.
So we do a lot of Facebook Lives, and a lot of people around the state found out very quickly what all happened. The Republican Party claims to be a rule of law party. Now, what Ron Weiser did, recognizing a third party in Macomb, was illegal. The state party bylaws has no such actions in it. There is no legal connection between the state party and the county party. The county parties cannot tell the state what to do. The state party has no right to determine who the leadership is in a county. That's determined by the delegates in the county. So by him recognizing a leader of a third party is totally illegal. He had no right to do so. So at the state convention, a lot of people did a lot of work. I've been to a lot of state conventions. I've been involved since '88. I've never seen anything like this whatsoever, where there's mixed numbers from 83 to 88. Some people say 90% of the delegates clearly voted with us and unseated the delegation that was sent by Mr. Castiglia. They booed Mr. Castiglia. They booed Ron Weiser when he tried to start the meeting.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, they just carried on.
He didn't know what to do.
Wow.
So they all voted to reinstate us. And so the delegates had to leave the floor from Macomb. And when they voted, by the way, they did not let Macomb vote, okay, because it was in contest. So the other 82 counties all voted, and it was huge numbers. So then they all had to come off the floor and be replaced with the list that we had. However, many of them were on the same list. They're all Macomb County delegates. We sent 400 people, 200 delegates,
And many of them
200
are
alternates.
new, very, very new. So they got calls to two conventions. Like Mark said, they were victims. They didn't know where to go. Some went to tried to go to both. What they had to do was email Mark or email Eric Castiglia if they wanted to be listed as somebody who wanted to go to a state convention.
Right.
But there's so many new ones. They know something's wrong in this country and in this state and in this county, but they're not quite sure who the players are yet. But they're learning. They're
Now
learning.
tell us why was Ron Weiser siding with Eric, and why is he so dead set against you two? And
They're
you're
determined to remove the leadership of Macomb County and silence us. They think if they get rid of us that we're going to be quiet. We're going to get noisier and noisier whether we're there or not. And that's what's so amazing. They're making such an effort for this, but they want to silence Macomb County. They have done this in other counties, in the small counties and leadership in different counties over the years. In fact, at that April convention where they eliminated us, allegedly, we went to the state convention, but we were just guests in late April. And Michonne, when I complained to her about it, she just simply said, we've done this before, and walked away. So anyway, it's just a battle that's going to continue. Now, our convention now will be on the 17th of November, and this convention's different. The purpose of this convention is to elect a new board.
Okay.
This is where these people are so stupid. They could have laid in wait for us and ambushed us at the proper time, at the proper convention, and it would have been a lot more difficult for us to even win in court, even though what they did at the convention was illegal, because it was the purpose of the convention. But what they did was totally illegal at the wrong time. And what it did is it got us involved to the point now where we know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly how to run this convention, and it's not going to happen again.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. These people, they want to get rid of you so bad. And the way they did it, their court case was just terrible. Their attorney was terrible. I feel that personally, after being involved so long, every time there's a grassroots movement where they really start taking some traction, when they run against a brick wall, which is usually the courts, the grassroots doesn't come up with the money for attorneys or things like that, and it just all then fizzles. They back down, or getting sued, they back down. This time we fought. The Lord provided us with a fabulous attorney. He's done a marvelous job, and he made mincemeat out of them in court, and it was just fun to watch it in a way. Hopefully we don't like getting taken to court. I mean, I've never been taken to court in my life, but it was very well done by him. He did a marvelous job, and we're going to keep fighting. We will not be silenced. Now we're starting a television show. We're going around the state talking to delegates, keeping them together to make sure we change this leadership in Michigan in February, because in February, Ron Weiser and Michonne come up.
Okay.
They will be replaced. And we're going to make the Republican Party in Michigan Republican again. We're going to get rid of this uniparty system and create a two-party system in Michigan again.
But now, between now and then, though, you are not the only ones who are receiving pushback from the state GOP. Tell us about some of the people on the midterms ballot.
Well, Stephen Elliott is running for Congress against Rashida Tlaib in the 12th district. Okay. Stephen is a Marine Corps veteran, small business owner, great person, great candidate. He's not even in our county. We're the only ones that have come around to help him. State party doesn't return his calls. His own counties don't talk to him. Rashida Tlaib is one of the three women that just really want to fundamentally change our country and flatly take it over. You would think that they would be very excited about Stephen, except that they ignore him. And then when President Trump came here on October 1st, he had mentioned other candidates, but nothing about Stephen. And I know President Trump. He does not know he exists. Otherwise, he would have had him up there and shown him off to the world. Why didn't Michonne Maddock tell President Trump about Stephen Elliott? It's because he's a good candidate and can beat Rashida Tlaib, but maybe they just don't want to.
Right, and actually, Stephen Elliott beat out two experienced politicians.
Yes, he had two in the primary. Exactly. He was brand new. He took his oath as a Marine seriously. Doesn't like the direction of this country. Saw an opportunity where he's back in the fight.
So, what's the common denominator here? Anyone who questions the 2020 election, is that the common denominator?
Pretty much. Christina Caramo, she's not getting the support that she deserves.
Now she's running for Secretary of State, right?
Secretary of State, and she was also a TCF like I was, where we saw the fraud. Nobody can tell us there wasn't fraud. We saw it with our own eyes.
Right.
So,
and now Christina is running against Jocelyn Benson. Yes,
she is.
And Jocelyn Benson has made headlines nationwide for her egregious acts regarding the 2020 election. I know in your county alone, the Concerned Citizens Initiative found more than 900,000 anomalies that would account
right.
for 900,000 votes.
Well, and in 2016, President Trump won in Macomb. When he implemented his promises, people that were even on the fence or maybe didn't even like him now loved him. His numbers went through the roof. They didn't go backwards, yet they're saying he didn't win in 2020.
Right.
That just doesn't even make sense.
So in our last few minutes here, let's talk about your TV show and how people can get in touch with you and learn more and stay in touch.
Oh, we're about to film our second episode, and Christina Cramo we're interviewing her.
Great.
So a lot of people that may not know her, hopefully we'll see it on that show and give her a chance, give her a look over.
Where can people view the show?
It's Blue Water Healthy Living is the name of the television show in Port Huron. Now,
This is Port Huron, basically.
Okay.
There's 60,000 viewers that subscribe to that TV channel.
Okay.
So all these 60,000 people, plus anyone they share it with, will get to know us and get to know candidates like Christina.
yeah,
Great.
Michigan's cool. You live in the thumb or the forefinger or whatever. But anyway, we own the program itself. So we're going to be setting up a YouTube channel and other social media sites and everything. It's called Inside Track with Mark and Lisa, and we're going to be putting it out everywhere. But it's just getting started, so it's going to take us a couple of weeks to get it rolling. But we think it's going to be very helpful in Michigan to educate people and help create this two-party system in Michigan that we need so bad.
When we receive that link, we'll send it to you.
Wonderful. We'll put it in our description below when we post the video. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. This is fantastic information, and we wish you the best.
Thank you for
Thank
taking
you,
up our
Rebecca.
story.
Thank
It's a
you so
big one
much.
here in Michigan.